Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. Welcome to my Scalable Software Architectures final project for the fall of 2024. I created an app called ImageStitch that turns photos into cross-stitch projects. Briefly, we'll talk about what the app is, how it works, how it actually works, and then I'll show you kind of what it does. So again, the app that I made is called ImageStitch. It turns photos into cross-stitching patterns. I recently got into film photography and cross-stitching and had this idea of making like a collage blanket of patterns of significant moments, places, or people, just pictures that I like in general, and thought, why not combine them? And to do that, I figured since we have this assignment, I could just make the app myself. I did do a little bit of market research, and it turns out the current available applications or methods of doing this are kind of mediocre. It's a lot of AI generated images and a lot of pattern mills that use AI generated images or just downscale the resolution, which doesn't make a good pattern. There's a lot of low quality designs made into bad kits, and there's a lot of patterns with confetti or individual spots, which makes it really difficult to do and doesn't actually make it pretty. And so hypothetically, a reason that someone would use ImageStitch is that it's customizable, as we'll talk about soon. The patterns can be pretty high quality, or I'm pretty happy with them, and I made it myself, so why not, In brief, how it works is you can resize an image, so the way cross-stitch patterns works is each pixel is essentially the equivalent of a stitch, and so we choose the number of stitches that we want, either high or wide. And so the resize function just applies that resize to the image. I have examples down here. Then we move into color reduction. I've implemented 3 different methods of color reduction, either k-means, mean shift, or Gaussian mixture models, with the examples of each of the 3 types here. Then I go into color matching, where I scraped the DMC thread color colors using just web scraping tools, and you can map the thread colors using the hex values to the RGB values with Euclidean distances. And then through all of that, it then generates an SVG or scalable vector graphic with grid lines at every 10 and then a color key. So you can go by the thread and then actually make the pattern. And how it really works is I pretty much built on top of project 2. So we have our front end client written in Python that you interact with via a terminal. It works with our web service that's written in JavaScript. It stores images in an S3 bucket, and it holds all the important user and asset information in a relational database. The cool part that I implemented is I added supporting Python and CSV files, so that Python actually runs kind of the computation for the color reduction and the SVG generation. And it uses the color mapping, and then it tells how everything should work. But that's, So then we can get into a demo. I'll talk over it. So here we go. So this is what the app looks like. You log in. It's, again, the same as project 2. We can see all of the users. And then we can go in and see all of the images that have preloaded. So you could steal patterns that other people have put in, or have other people use your patterns. And so if we want to enter our own account, we can be Shelly Mary. I misspelled Shelly, that's okay. And obviously you enter the email, the first and last names, and then we have our new user ID. And so then from there we can upload an image. So going into our images folder, I want to do the sunset JPEG just because it's pretty. So we direct the client to look for the images in the right folder. We give it our user ID because we want to keep track of what our stuff is and not give someone else credit necessarily. Yay, so it's uploaded. We have our new asset ID. So we can try resizing it. Again, we'll give it the asset ID, so 1017. Enter our max width and max length. These are in stitch counts, so it's at max going to be 50 stitches wide and 100 stitches tall. It's very small, but there we go. And then we could do color reduction. Again, we enter the asset ID, and you're prompted to choose between k-means, mean shift, or Gaussian mixture models. I prefer k-means, so that's what I did for this. And then we can put in the desired number of colors that we want. As a note, the higher number of colors that you choose, the longer this calculation time takes. And so I chose 7. It should be fine, but it does take a second to run. And essentially what it's doing is it's pulling the uploaded image from the S3 bucket back and storing it temporarily on your computer, running and then uploading it into this Python file that runs each of the functions, so the Gaussian mixture model, the mean shift, or k-means, which are all kind of ML versions of color reduction. I learned about it in my computer vision class. And then it saves the image locally and in the S3 bucket. But it does just take a minute, so that's sorry. Yay, okay, so it works. That's great. We have a new asset ID, and so we can go and make sure it's there, and it is, which is wonderful. And so it doesn't download automatically into the local copy, so we can go in and pull it from the S3 bucket. So we did, and now it's here. Ooh, pretty, yay. And mostly that's just to see if we like it. And if we do like it, then we can make the full pattern. And so we hit 8 to do a whole new pattern. We'll start with that first image, just the raw one. So 1017. And then again, we can choose the number of colors, the preferred method, the stitch count that we want, which is the same dimension. So I would want, hypothetically, a 50 or 150 wide project. And then it produces the pattern and saves it in the S3 bucket, where then we can look for it, see that it's there, and then pull it back down to our local computer to be able to interact with it. The cool thing about these SVG patterns is that they all actually open as a URL, and so you can scale it pretty well. You can obviously save it as a PDF, but this is a way to just run through it and see what's going on. It also is compatible with pattern trackers, which is a useful tool for a lot of people that cross-stitch that helps you just make sure you're not losing your spot. But yeah, that's how it works. I'm pretty thrilled with it, to be completely honest. And so, yeah. And so I ran it on a couple different patterns. One of the limitations of this is that the color reduction doesn't handle faces very well, and so images with people are a little weird. But overall, it works pretty great, and it's fun that you can like tell what it is after the fact. Cool. Again, I'm Hannah Simmons. That was my computer science 310 final project. Feel free to reach out with any questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you for your time.